As we get closer to November, Donald Trump has officially expanded the map. What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back again with a new video, and I hope everyone is having a great day. I'm certainly having a great day myself. And before we dive into it, don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell. Also consider joining the channel for just $1 a month. Again, all these are great ways to support the daily content. But enough of the promotional stuff, let's get into it because it appears that Donald Trump has expanded the map. Now, I want to be clear that I am not saying that this means that Trump is for sure going to win a state like Virginia, New Mexico, these states that lean to the left, but they're not like D+20 states. I am not saying that Trump is for sure going to win any of these states. No one should expect that. But it does seem like at the bare minimum, Trump is making huge improvements in places like Virginia, Minnesota, New Mexico, places like New Jersey, New York, California, etc. I mean, look at this. There's a brand new poll out of Virginia, not a swing state, at least on paper. This is not a swing state. This should be a state that Harris wins by at the bare minimum 4 to 5 points. Well, look at this. According to Qantas Insights, Trump is only down by 1 point in Virginia. That's not a misquote. That's not a typo. According to Qantas Insights, Trump is down by only 1% in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Just for added context, back in 2020, Biden won Virginia by roughly 10 points back in 2020. So we're talking about a 9-point shift in Virginia. We're not talking about a 1-point shift, not 2 points, no. A 9 to 10 point shift in Virginia, a state that most of us thought just a couple of years ago was completely gone for the Republican Party. Yet it seems like right now, Trump is in a very good position in Virginia. Now, Qantas Insights, they might be wrong here. They might be overstating Trump a little bit. I get that. But there are other data points out there that indicates that, yeah, maybe a place like Virginia is way closer than it should be. Look at Christian Hines on Twitter. Republicans right now make up 41.3% of the early vote, which, by the way, is an improvement from just a couple days ago. A couple days ago, it was like 40% Republican. Now, it's 41.3% Republican. You can even compare this number back to 2021, 2022, and 2023, and in those years on the same day, Republicans hadn't even cracked 40% of the early vote. Yeah, Republicans are doing the best they have ever done in early voting, ever since COVID, I should say, in Virginia. They cracked 41.3% of the early vote. When back in 23, they only cracked 39%. 2022 and 2021, they barely cracked 37%. Yeah. This is a clear improvement for the Republican Party in Virginia. Now, this doesn't mean that Republicans are for sure going to win Virginia. It just means right now, there is going to be a big shift towards Trump in the Commonwealth. It's just a matter of how big is it? Is it a 4 to 5 point shift? Or is it a 9 to 12 point shift, which is enough for Trump to barely win Virginia? That's the real question. If it's really a 9 to 12 point shift in Virginia, which that's what Qantas Insights is actually projecting right now, well, in that scenario, Trump would win Virginia. I know it's crazy to suggest that, but the polling from Qantas Insights, the early vote data from Christian Hines, it indicates that at the bare minimum, we're talking about a big shift towards Trump in Virginia. And you could argue if it continues to get even worse for Democrats, it could be a state that Trump could potentially flip. And the Trump campaign, they know this. Because just yesterday, they announced they are holding a rally in Virginia. Listen, we are not in August anymore. We're not in September. We are in October. Yet the Trump campaign just announced 3 days before Election Day, which is November 2nd, they will hold a rally in Virginia. If they really thought they had no chance in Virginia, that it was a fluke, that they're actually down by 15 points, why the hell would the Trump campaign decide to hold a rally in Virginia? Why? Maybe there's some House races that are important, I get that, but it sounds like the Trump campaign, they believe that they have momentum, which they clearly do. I mean, look at the national polling. I mean, Trump's up by 0.1% of the RCP average, even with some shit polls, but either way, Trump has momentum, and his campaign, I think, realized that, hey, let's try a rally in Virginia. Maybe we lose it, but you know what? Let's try. If we lose Virginia, not the end of the world. But if we flip Virginia, at that point, Trump wins. You cannot tell me with a straight face that a pathway exists for Harris without Virginia. It's not going to happen. I guess it's technically possible, but it's like a 0.001% chance Harris could win if she loses Virginia. That's why it's a big deal. And you look at the electoral map, I mean, if Trump does flip Virginia, well, he's going to win North Carolina, win Georgia, he's up in Arizona, up in probably Nevada. He's probably winning the Rust Belt states. So how can anyone argue that, oh, well, she could actually win without Virginia? No, she can't. She needs Virginia to win, because even if she barely wins the Rust Belt, which is very unlikely in this scenario, but fine. I guess it's entirely possible. And even if she pulls off the victory in Arizona or even Nevada, like let's say she wins Nevada, which this map's hideous, but look at that. Trump is still winning. In this scenario, she has to flip Nevada and Arizona to barely win. Yeah, she needs both to barely win the Electoral College. Is it possible? I guess it's a possibility, but it's so unlikely that it's not going to happen. The more likely scenario is if Trump wins Virginia, he's already winning the swing states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, and Arizona, which already is enough for him to win. He doesn't need Virginia. But in this scenario, Trump wins easily. And even if Trump barely loses Virginia, well, it doesn't really matter. He's got the presidency locked down because he's already at 312 in this scenario. So Trump's got the presidency with or without Virginia. That's the problem here. Democrats, they need Virginia to win. Trump doesn't. He does not need Virginia to win. But even then you could argue, well, okay, it's just one state that's shifting hard to the right. Maybe it's a fluke. Maybe it's just one of those states that Trump will do better in, but he's not going to win. Fine. Here's a problem for Democrats. We have other metrics out there to indicate it's not just Virginia having a big shift to the right. It's places like New Mexico, Minnesota, New Hampshire, that it seems like Republicans, at the bare minimum, are going to outperform their margins from 2020. Now, I'm not saying Trump's going to win any of these states. No one should expect that to happen. But look at a place like New Mexico. There was a Republican internal leaked, in quotation, that found Trump only down by 3 points in New Mexico. Now, you have to be careful with internals because they can be bullshit. They can be completely fake. And I'm not saying that for sure Trump is going to be down by only 3 in New Mexico. But the early vote out of a place like New Mexico does not look good for Democrats whatsoever. And you look at the current national polling, and right now, Trump is up by 0.1% in the national popular vote. And if things continue, more than likely, he's probably going to win the popular vote by a point, maybe by 2 if things continue, which it's possible they don't, but let's just say that the trends continue and Trump wins a popular vote by a point. That's a 5 to 6 point shift from 2020. Is it really crazy to say that a place like New Mexico, it could be a lot closer than it was back in 2020? Plus, with New Mexico, you do have demographics that are shifting heavy towards Trump. Now, you do got a very liberal white vote in New Mexico, I get that, but at the bare minimum, it's going to be way closer than it was back in 2020. And even then, Democrats, they're actually spending money in New Mexico. That's not a misquote. The Democrats are spending money in New Mexico. Now, it's not like they're spending $20 million, but they're still investing some money into the state. So it seems like even Democrats, they're kind of a little bit worried about New Mexico. Not that they're going to lose it, but it seems like there might be some legitimacy to this poll that while it's not Harris +3, maybe it's Harris +4 or 5, and with how things are trending, this number could collapse for Democrats in New Mexico. And if that happens, old bets are off. Democrats are in deep shit. But fine. Even if New Mexico votes for Harris by a couple of points, that's a big underperformance from 2020. You see the problem here? Because, okay, they're doing way worse in New Mexico, but they barely win. If she's doing 5 to 6 points worse in New Mexico, what do you think's happening in Arizona and Nevada? Honestly. Well, what do you think's happening there? More than likely, Trump is winning Arizona. He's up in Nevada. If he's doing that much better in New Mexico, I know they're different states, I get that, but you would expect if Trump is doing 7 points better in New Mexico, or 6 points or whatever, he's probably at the bare minimum doing 2 to 3 points better in Nevada, in Arizona. Which, again, I guess is a possibility that New Mexico shifts far to the right, but by some miracle, Arizona and Nevada, they shift left. I mean, it's possible, but do you think that's likely? I don't know, especially if we're seeing big shifts towards Trump in places like California. I mean, come on. If California and New Mexico are shifting this much to the right, do you really think places like Arizona and Nevada, they're going to at best stagnate for Trump or somehow shift towards Harris? I don't think so. Even the polling suggests that Trump is up in both Nevada and Arizona by a couple of points. That's the problem. It's not just that Trump's going to win New Mexico. It's the fact that if he's doing so much better in New Mexico, Virginia, Minnesota, for example, more than likely, he's probably doing way better in places like Wisconsin, Arizona, North Carolina, Georgia, Pennsylvania. And even then, if things get so bad for Democrats, maybe he could pull off the upset in a place like Virginia, like Minnesota, and maybe the Republican poll out of New Mexico, maybe that's true. But fine, I guess these could all be flukes. Maybe it's just a complete coincidence. Maybe it's just Republicans. They might be doing slightly better in Virginia, New Mexico, but it doesn't translate anywhere else. Okay, that's a possibility. Here's a problem. There's one other state that I don't see how Democrats can explain other than a complete disaster for them. New Hampshire. Now, I'm not saying that Trump is going to, by some miracle, win New Hampshire in an upset. That's not what I'm saying. But Emerson College just released a brand new poll out of New Hampshire. And right now, it's only Harris +3. That is not a misquote. In the state of New Hampshire, which back in 2020 voted for Biden by over 7 points, right now it's only Harris +3. And this is one of those states that everyone agrees is shifting far to the left. You have people from Boston moving into New Hampshire and taking their voting habits with them. That's why in recent years, New Hampshire went from a purple state to a Democrat state. And most people thought there was no way in hell Trump could be anywhere close to competitive in New Hampshire. Yet right now, according to Emerson College, it's only Harris +3. Which is much more impressive when you think about the fact that this state is trending far to the left. This is a state that Republicans outside of maybe the governorship are going to get crushed here every single year, at least on paper. Yet right now, Kamala Harris has a lead in New Hampshire, but it's not a 10-point lead. It's not Harris +12, Harris +8, Harris +7. No, it's Harris +3, maybe Harris +4. And if Trump really does 3 to 4 points better in New Hampshire, Harris has a big problem because of all the states that she's doing worse than expected in, this should be the state that she has no trouble in. She should have no issues in New Hampshire. But if she has problems in New Hampshire, the trends we're seeing out of places like New Mexico, Virginia, Minnesota, states that lean to the left, but they're showing signs of erosion for Democrats, it's not as crazy to say because New Hampshire is one of those states that should be very Democrat, yet even New Hampshire is shifting towards Trump. This is not looking good for Harris because if she's doing so much worse in these Democrat states, yeah, she's probably going to win all of them, but if she has to worry about not just the swing states, but she has to worry about New Mexico, Minnesota, Virginia, New Hampshire. If she has to worry about these states, she's already lost. She's not going to win in that scenario. Now, we just got to see what happens the next week or so. Maybe this is a fluke, but right now, this is not good for Harris. The fact that we're even talking about Virginia or Minnesota is a complete disaster for the Harris campaign. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.